Thank you for joining again. This iteration is on delegating property-specific attributes to a service account in Active Directory. I know that in my last video I said I'd be covering something else, but while going through some of my testing, I thought it a good idea to go ahead and get this set up and test it along with the script. Now, in my ongoing series about a startup hosting company, the service account we are going to create will be used to schedule a task that modifies specific attributes called extension attribute, and that's values 1 through 15. Some will consider setting up a service account that's locked down like this to be a bit overboard, but keeping in mind that as a company matures, especially a hosting company, they must begin to adhere to standards such as SAS70 and PCI. Keeping this in mind and always sticking to the old mantra of least access principle, doing this type of task up front prevents you from having to overhaul your work later on. As such, once this account is created, we will test it with the final script that will be covered in the next series. As administrators to any systems, we have security concerns, and depending on your environment, you may or may not need to do this type of additional work, and many will get away with just throwing a service account into the domain admins group. In the case of using third-party software and lacking documentation from these vendors, we sometimes are forced to just place the service account into a domain admins group anyways. However, if you're building a custom solution like we are now, it's always a good idea to go through the extra steps and lock down the service account as much as possible. Since we are not storing any vital information such as social security numbers or credit card numbers in Active Directory, we will only be concerned with writing information to objects. We do still need to limit the readability to a specific set of organizational units, such as customers and the iterate team. With just these two pieces, we'll effectively isolate the service account from being able to accidentally modify the wrong information and work outside the OUs we've defined. Furthermore, we'll be leveraging groups to delegate the rights to. In the future, if we need to have another service account with similar rights, it'll be a lot easier to achieve these goals. The final security concern is with username and passwords. Since the account is a service account, we'll be flagging the password as never expiring as well as cannot be changed. These two things are often red flags for audits, but if you show that you have taken certain precautions to limit the access of this account, the red flag should go away. With this said, we'll be creating a hard to understand account name with a very difficult password. And here's a quick list of the different tasks we're going to be faced with when creating a service account. Let's go ahead and take a look at those, and we'll flip over to doing this actual work. I'm going to zip through the first couple tasks because most people should be familiar with already creating groups and OUs. So I'm just going to go ahead and get that done. So the first task, creating the new OU called services with the sub-OUs, creating a service account with a strong password and difficult username, and creating the security groups that we will then later delegate the rights to. And here you see that we have the services OU created along with all the sub-OUs that we're going to be using, and this is better help outline what the delegations that we're doing is being applied to. So in this particular instance, we're going to have the accounts that are going to be in the groups, and then we have 3 OUs that represent the different places where we're going to delegate rights. It's going to be the customer's OU, the iterate team, and then also the root domain. And here we see the service account that I created for this specific task that we're going to be doing. And as you can see, it's literally a set of random letters and numbers at the end of a thing that represents service account. In addition to this, I use a password database utility. There's many out there. The one that I do use right now is called KeyPass, and I highly suggest doing this because what it does is it allows you to randomly generate passwords with very strong characteristics in there. So essentially, all you have to do is bring up the utility, record some information, and then here you get the randomly assigned password based on certain criteria that you input. And you can just double click on it and it'll actually copy it to your clipboard, and you can paste it into the password when you reset it. Here are the 2 groups that I created. The similar ones exist inside iterate team, but essentially you can see that I'm going to be delegating read all permissions and then write the writability to the extension attributes. Once we have both the service account and the specific groups created, we can then go ahead and link the users to the groups. And as you can see here, the service account exists as a member of each of these individual groups, including the ones inside the iterate team. Now you can actually delegate rights two different ways. The first way is just by right-clicking on the OU in question, such as the customer's OU, and then selecting Delegate Control. The other way you could do it is if you go up to View and do Advanced Features, then what you could do is actually right-click on Customers again and go to Properties and go over to the Security tab and assign it just like you would NTFS rights. It's the same concept, but you have a lot more stuff that you can do. In this particular case, I'm just going to go ahead and use the delegate control wizard. Alright, let's go ahead and delegate the first set of permissions, and the first one we're going to do is actually just delegating read control, and then we're going to delegate the right to extension attributes, and this will be repeatable on the iterate team, so I won't cover that. It will just be on the customer's OU, but you'll need to also go back and do the iterate team as well. So here we go. Since we're going to be delegating to 3 different objects, groups, contacts, and also users, we want to go ahead and do a custom task. We're going to select this option here, and we're just going to scroll through and find the 3 objects in question. And we want to do general read, and that gives us read all to all those 3 objects for all attributes, and we're done. Now this next delegation is going to be for delegating the right ability to the extension attribute values. Again, we're going to do a custom task, and we're just going to go ahead and start off with contacts. And now what we want to do is do property specific, and then scroll all the way down until you find the extension attributes. And as you can see, you have read and also write. Since we're already going to be granting read from the other group, we only want to worry about adding the write ability. So let's go ahead and go through each one of these. And there we pretty much have it. Now go ahead and repeat the same exact thing for the groups and users. Okay, using ADSI Edit, we'll be able to get a small glimpse of what I'm working on. This is actually the final product, so to speak, and as you see, the extension attribute 1 is populated with the account number that is pulled from basically the OU name here. So what we're going to do to verify that this actually works is we're going to go ahead and clear this attribute, and I also have the scheduled task created. Now another key piece of information is that whenever you take a service account and make a scheduled task and apply that to as a user, such as right here, Windows automatically takes care of giving it the proper security rights to run that scheduled task, so you don't have to do anything special. You just key it in and that's it. So now what we'll do is go ahead and run this, and note that right now it's 7:49 that I'm running this, and if we actually go in and check the log file, we'll see that at 7:49 Andrea Mars was a blank value, and it was changed back to PA.